All right, welcome everybody to another installment of What's What Meetup. Today, our topic is going to be about carbs or carbohydrates, one of our three macros. So, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Zach. I've been doing a lot of these What's What weekly installments. So, hopefully, you guys are enjoying this and learning a little bit something as we go along. So, the primary objective of this webinar right now is to explain and help you identify and choose nutritious carbohydrate food options, and just to help give you a thorough understanding of exactly what carbs are and what it does in your body, and where you can find carbs. All right, so and before we kind of jump right into testing your knowledge, I'll hold it here. But what we typically want to ask when we start this is, what do people think about when you say the word carbs? And this is not interactive, but if it was, I bet I'd get a lot of answers that walk around different weight gain and starchy foods. Those complex carbs is kind of what I'd be hearing from a lot of the audience at this point. So we're going to break that down a little bit through this. So now we'll test your knowledge, whether you're following along, you want to write it, you just want to talk out loud, wherever it is. So which of the following are primarily carbs? In apple, broccoli, quinoa, or skim milk? I'll give you a quick second. Maybe you want to point to one on your computer screen, however you want to do it. Give you a few more seconds, think about it, and we'll hop into it. All right, so here's your answer. If all the above is ever an answer, it's always that one. All right, so that is the correct answer. Is all four of these are primarily composed of carbs. All fruits contain carbs, okay, in the form of natural sugars and fiber. Vegetables also contain carbs, although most are very low in calories. Starchy vegetables such as potatoes, peas, corns, lima beans, they contain a little bit more calories per serving, but are still rich in nutrients. Okay, quinoa is a whole grain that has more protein than most grains, but also contains, primarily carbohydrates. Milk even contains carbs in the form of a natural sugar called lactose. Okay, so macronutrients, what we're taught, as I described already, your carbs is one of your three macros that we have that provides energy and fuel for your body. So what are the three? Obviously, carbohydrates that we're talking about, fats, which come in so many different forms. I'm not going to break that down here, but later on, and also protein, which we've already had a webinar about. So if you missed that one, feel free to go back and check out that protein. We're trying to summarize our three carbs our three macros, and try to relate those to how it's going to give you the most energy and the most efficient workout in the gym. Okay, all three are important for good health, but our focus today will be strictly on the carbs as we move forward. Okay, so why do we need carbs? Carbs have many important functions in the body. They're broken down and converted into glucose, which is blood sugar. Okay, it's used for, well, your brain needs carbs to function. Glucose is its preferred fuel source. Your muscles, along with other cells, I'm gonna skip ahead there, sorry. Your muscles, along with other cells and tissues throughout the body, they need it for fuel. Extra carbs is stored in the liver and muscles as forms of glycogen. Glycogen provides fuel when it's needed, such as during periods of fasting, between your meals, or overnight when you're sleeping. Okay, the glucose is what's stored in your blood. So think glucose, blood sugar, glycogen, muscle being stored in liver and muscle. Okay, so carbs are the body's primary energy and fuel source. So if you kind of relate that back to what you've done over your life, is whether you have kids that play sports or when you played sports and you go to those team feeds the night before a long game, is you were carb loading because you wanted that stored energy to be much higher so you wouldn't die out in that whatever sport it is, whatever competition it was that you were competing in. Now we'll skip ahead. All right, so my favorite thing to do, myth versus fact. All right, so common myth is carbs cause weight gain. That is incorrect. All right, that is a common myth. Okay, low carb diets is best for weight loss. However, the fact is that the key to weight loss is creating healthy, sustainable nutrition and physical activity habits. We want to avoid cutting out any specific macro in order to obtain your fitness or your wellness or aesthetic goals. Okay, what happens if you eat too few carbs? Okay, what happens is it may be challenging to sustain for a long time, especially if you're eliminating foods that you really enjoy. Okay, the reason being, well, you're going to have a lot of psychological effects here as well. Is if you do this keto for too long, you're starving your body of an important macro, important nutrient. Okay, so we have three major forms of carbs that you're going to find in food. You have your dietary fiber, which is a type of carb found only in plant foods. Example would be your fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and beans. Most of it goes through the body undigested, and it's linked to a variety of health benefits. Most Americans only eat about half of the fiber needed each day. Okay, they are broken down as starches. Starches are found in foods such as beans, grains, starchy vegetables, potatoes, peas, corn, lima beans. Depending on how long your bananas have been sitting out, it changes the type of carb that it is, whether it's more starchy or even more sugary, which is kind of what we're going to jump into next with the sugars, which is naturally occurring, or some of them are added. Uh, Naturally occurring sugars are those naturally found in milk, lactose, and fruits, which is fructose. So F being fructose for fruits. Naturally occurring sugars are those, added sugars are those that are added to foods for sweetness. So we're talking table sugar, honey, high fructose corn syrup, and many others. Okay, added sugars do not add nutritional value to the foods and drinks. Classifications of carbs can also be broken down further to specific types of sugars, types of grains. The key is choosing foods that are the most nutritious. So we're talking, rich in the fiber, which we're seeing, 50% of Americans don't even get that recommended limit, which is, or that level, which is actually going to make you healthy. Not even talking about the upper limit, just the lower adequate levels. So take a look at how much fiber you eat in a day. How many carbs do we need? Okay, so this is a difficult question to answer because it depends on so many other factors as to, exactly what your exercise regimen is, how intense you work out, the duration that you work out. Okay, so it can vary, based on the American guidelines, though. You want to make at least half your grains whole grains. Limit foods and drinks that are high in added sugars. Okay, so those are typically those commercial soft drinks, so the sodas. Even looking at some of those drinks that you might get at Dunkin' Donuts or um, Starbucks. All the added sugars and just crap that they have in them. Consider your plate and fill it with the most nutritious options. So aim to fill half with fruits and vegetables, a quarter with your grains, ideally from whole grains, and the remaining quarter with lean protein. And enjoy a serving of low-fat dairy on the side. Okay, that's kind of optional, but you want to focus on that half fruits and vegetables, quarter grains, and quarter lean protein. And that's kind of how we set up the My Plate these days. And if you want more information on this, then go to choosemyplate.gov/myplateplan. Okay, so as you can see, we're going to summarize that now. I've got a little ahead of the slide there. Okay, so it's right on that slide right there. Choosemyplate.gov. Great website, and that food plate has changed. And even the food pyramid that a lot of you might remember when you were kids, it has completely changed. We actually kind of flipped that pyramid upside down. Okay, so here's some foods as to what you want to choose more often. These foods are rich in nutrients and are good choices to form the basis of a nutritional eating pattern for optimal health and disease prevention. Easy for me to say. Okay, so look at your fruits, the fruits with no added sugars, including fresh and canned without added sugars, unsweetened frozen fruits, and unsweetened dried fruits. Vegetables, including fresh, canned with no added salt, and frozen without added salt or sauces. For the best nutritional variety, aim to choose a colorful variety of fruits and vegetables. Okay, so you're looking for greens, some yellows, some reds, some oranges. Make it as colorful as you possibly can, just like this diagram above. Okay, it's not just strictly greens, which a lot of people think, and you do want to be a little bit heavier with your greens, but make it colorful. Color the rainbow. Whole grains and whole grain products, such as whole wheat, brown rice, barley, popcorn, and quinoa. Okay, so whole grain is kind of that buzzword you want to look for when looking in that bread aisle. Not that I'm ever advise bread, because there's no good bread, but there's going to be so many buzzwords out there, whether it's multi-grain or 100% grain or reduced sodium. There's so many buzzwords that are going to be in those labeling. What you really want to look for in the grains is the whole grain product. Okay. Next, we jump to the low-fat milks and yogurt with no added sugars. So when picking out a yogurt, look at the sugars. Okay, I know that I love those Yo Crunches where they have the mix of M&Ms at the top and the Oreos at the top. Look at that sugar intake. It's going to be about 48 grams. Okay, that's probably close to your daily limit as to what you want to have for the entire day. Look for something that's going to be 10 or under, just because I know how flooded the yogurt market is, and it's going to be tough to find those even lower than that. So aim for about 10 or under in the low-fat stuff. Legumes such as kidney beans, black beans, pinto beans, lentils, and many others. Okay, these are rich in protein as well, so you're going to get the most bang for your buck right there with the lentils. If you have special dietary needs related to certain medical conditions such as diabetes or ovarian syndrome, talk to a registered dietitian or an advanced nutritionist in order to find what's going to meet your needs specifically. Okay, so don't use this as a medical prescription. So now we've gone over what you want to choose more of. Let's go into the things that you need to get rid of. So go into your pantry, do some spring cleaning, get rid of these. Okay, so while most any food can fit into moderation, into moderation, aim to limit foods with few nutrients and replace them with options rich in nutrients and fiber. So the following are examples of food that you want to choose less. So the sugary drinks, which we kind of already talked to, those commercial drinks that you're going to find, the sodas, the sports drink. You do want a commercial sports drink. We're talking Gatorade, Powerade, but try to find the Powerade Zeros, or I'm not sure what the Gatorade ones are called. Maybe they're called Gatorade Zeros too, but the ones that have, very little added sugar and calories. Just the unsweetened tea, sweets and candy, obviously, desserts, refined grains such as your white bread, your white rice, your pasta. While many of these options are enriched with important nutrients, whole grain choices are have additional dietary fiber, okay, along with some other chemicals that are found in plants that may have health benefits. So get rid of all those old school breakfast foods. So cereal, muffins, bagels, English muffins, pastries, donuts. Get rid of all that. Okay, though that is not an adequate breakfast, and a lot of the time your body's not really been able to digest it, so it can't be readily turned into energy, and therefore it starts your day off in a sluggish. You're running through mud just to get going once you get out of bed. So let's get rid of these and change what you're eating for breakfast. Because what we've already gone over is you want to be adding those fruits and vegetables, which a lot of people don't associate with carbs, but they have carbs in them, the good carbs that can be turned immediately into energy. So substitute that muffin or that English muffin, that bowl of cereal with a banana or an apple with some peanut butter. They're going to get your fiber, your good sugars. Right. So this is the part at the end of the slide where we get to, so what are your next steps, which I kind of jumped into with the whole breakfast alternatives that you can make. And you want to make it small steps. Maybe you have a muffin and a yogurt, and your yogurt is insanely high with sugar. Okay, so let's just, for week one, try to find a yogurt that's a little bit lower with the added sugar and keep that muffin. Work for that with 2 weeks, and the next week, try to change the muffin to an apple. So small steps. Replace those sugary snacks with a fruit or vegetable. Okay, replace a refined grain with a whole grain option. Okay, so maybe you have toast every morning. Okay, so instead of having that just white toast, change it to a whole grain option. And replace that sugary drink. I don't want to get into the whole talk on diet drinks, Diet Coke and Diet Pepsi. You want to try to avoid that, because what they're doing is they're taking chemicals, or they're taking parts of that drink out to make you think that it's healthier. But however, what they're doing is they're taking out those important factors in that drink that make it taste worse. So they have to add in all these altered chemicals, aspartame, in order to keep that taste the way it is. So the diet options most of the time are not better. Um, so try to replace those with just drinking water, maybe like the bubbles that come in those commercial soft drinks or the sodas. So go with the seltzer. There's huge options at Stop and Shop or Shaw's that have different flavors. Or, if you do come up to the 18th floor, we have a sparkling water dispenser over by the microwave and the vending machine. Sometimes there's even flavor squirts over there. So try to add that in. Make it just one decision you make next week, just to change that up. Okay, these are just a few ideas, small steps. There's many more, and maybe some of you wish to share little examples that you've had. I know I've had clients who have been very serious on, drinking soda and whatnot, and or even smoking tobacco. And what they do is they change by going to gum, because they just like that fixation of always drinking or chewing something, always having something by their mouth. I know personally, when I go home at night, all I want is a drink, and it might be a water drink, but I just need something to every 10 minutes reach to the coffee table and grab to sip, because I just need to be doing something with my hands. So there's a bunch of little examples that we can use. We're getting a little bit away from the carbs right now, but just think of little steps, no matter what your dietary goals are. Okay? So once again, going back to this website is great. For more information, go to choosemyplate.gov. They have a lot of just general tip sheets that you can print out, PDFs, a bunch of healthy recipes, which we're trying to build a nice little catalog on our Facebook page with, along with some sample menus that you can be doing for some meal prepping at home. All right, so thanks guys for tuning into this What's What. We're trying to make them short and